Hi, friends, it's Melania. Welcome to TLC with Melania. I've been thinking about something since watching the latest Tell All episode. There was a moment that really stuck with me. Kody Brown kept deflecting, dodging questions, and avoiding any real accountability. I know that everyone has moved on, but something was different this time. It was like Kody wasn't just avoiding the topic. He was actively trying to shut down the conversation. He didn't want to hear anyone else's thoughts. He didn't want anyone challenging his version of events. At one time, he even told Sukanya that he didn't want to be gaslit by her or by anyone else about his experience because, in his own words, they're all biased. Here's the thing, though. Kody has no clue what gaslighting even is. He loves to throw the word around. But let's define it for him. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where the abuser makes the victim question their memories, perception, or even their sanity. It is routinely done in emotionally abusive relationships or controlling relationships. It involves denial of facts, minimizing one's reality, transferring blame, and making one confused in order to maintain control. So for Kody to claim he's being gaslit, he would have to be the victim. But in these relationships, he was the one who was totally in control. If anything, he demonstrated gaslighting behavior during that entire debacle. One clear instance? He brought up this supposed idea he had to have a guys' weekend with David Woolley. But when David responded with something like, "Yeah, sure, but there'd be rules," you could watch David and Christine try to be polite without agreeing to it. But when it came back around to Kody, he contradicted himself immediately, saying, No, we wouldn't do that." He brings it up, then denies it altogether. That's confusion, misdirection, a classic gaslighting maneuver. And that awkward conversation toward the end, the one where Kody first met David. He basically implied that David might have been trying to hit on Christine. He couched it in terms like, "I just didn't know his intentions." And in the polygamist world, that's the way it is. But the underlying insecurity was clear. Kody still sees other men as competition. He's still marking territory, even when it comes to Christine, a woman he claims he no longer wants. And let's talk about Robin. She refused to even watch footage involving Christine. She tried to dismiss Kody's reactions, saying he wasn't jealous, that he's just always red in the face. Maybe Kody's just not jealous of Christine anymore. Yet there's still so much hatred there, exhibited in his refusal to address her respectfully. One minute he says something kind or nothing much at all, and the next minute he's calling her undermining. Something else I learned. This tell-all was filmed in early October 2024. Christine Instagrammed on the 2nd or 3rd saying they were in Sedona for filming. Guess what else had already happened by that time? Christine had already filed for custody, paternity, and child support. So keep that in mind when you rewatch their interactions again. It was fairly obvious to me Christine was genuinely scared to be around Kody. And not just anxious or uncomfortable, scared in the way of there being things we, the audience, don't know. The tension, the conflict, the deflection. So much more is happening beneath the surface. It's so clear now that Christine has made huge distance between her and Kody. Not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. You can see the frustration, the anger, and most of all, the compelling need for accountability. Above all of the other wives, Christine is clearly devoted to finally standing up to Kody for the emotional abuse she's endured. And with having some time and space away from him, that clarity is coming out. I truly do believe being with David, her current husband, has played a huge part in that healing. He's spoken openly about going to therapy, and for real, it seems like Christine has also done some significant emotional work. She's using words like manipulation, mind games, and abuse, and not loosely. She's clearly recognizing now that Kody wasn't just a bad husband. He was controlling and emotionally manipulative. That's something we, as observers, got to witness year after year. But seeing Christine now, it's like she's finally naming it. She sees it for what it was. When she says she's nervous to be in the same room as Kody, that says a lot. That level of fear, that's not normal unease. That is trauma. Christine has acknowledged herself that she has PTSD from her time in Flagstaff. And if that is the case, and I believe it's the case, then to be present in the same vicinity as Kody would most certainly remind her of those prior feelings. Because people like Kody, they never change. He still goes right back to manipulating, gaslighting, blaming, shifting, or shutting it down completely. And even when he does show a spark of responsibility, it seems like it's a calculation, like only to shut the conversation down, never to own up. When Christine explained how nervous she was around him, I could tell. Because abusers like to twist reality, lie to you about something just so they can regain control. And once you've been through all that, it's so easy to get back into it. That's why boundaries matter. That's why she probably established that hard line with the court filings. Only a few weeks before this tell-all was recorded, Christine had filed for child support, paternity, and custody. That wasn't happenstance. She did it because private negotiations weren't working, and because, quite honestly, she probably doesn't feel safe talking out problems outside the court anymore. And from Kody's reaction, it's obvious that he wasn't happy about that. He performed as if he was going to maybe socialize in the future, possibly even go out and conduct a get-together with David. But when Suki questioned, well, why don't you try to reconnect? Why can't you heal this? His reply, personal reasons. She's very undermining. And that was it. No explanation, only silence. There was even this absolutely uncomfortable moment where he picked lint off himself and spat it on the ground and wasn't even looking at people. Suki had to ask him what he was doing. It was that weird. He was tense and squirming, like a kettle that's ready to boil. And what really hit me was his use of undermining. Now, undermining isn't a hollow insult. It's someone who is eroding your authority or control over time, perhaps in subtle or insidious ways. It's one of those controlling tactics narcissists use when they get threatened. So when Kody blames Christine for undermining him, he's saying, she's undermining my authority. She's not letting me control the narrative. He does not care to hear the truth about how she feels. He does not care to see how his actions affected her. And he most definitely does not care to acknowledge that she's moved on, stronger, healthier, and wiser. So he deflects. He shuts down. He hides behind vague accusation and silence. Because facing reality would be losing the control he's so desperately holding on to. Kody won't speak to Christine. Why? Because by refusing to speak to her, he can stay inside his world of fantasy superiority. But here's my take. When he refers to her as undermining, what he really means is she gets mad. He won't talk about anything related to Christine, and I think it's because he's outraged that she's demanding child support. Remember that when Christine left, Kody requested she not seek child support, which is absurd. You can't force the other party to waive their legal rights for their child. It's not even an enforceable contract. Legally, he owes Truly to support her. So essentially, he was requesting that Christine ignore the law just out of his own comfort. And now that she's actually standing up and doing what's right for Truly, he's angry. Because the fact is, any parent who does get out from under someone like him will fight for their child. Christine is showing Truly that she matters, that her future, her safety, are worth fighting for in court. She's not just looking for support, she's establishing paternity, custody, and legally setting a precedent. Kody now has a court-ordered responsibility to support his daughter. That order was finished on the 21st of May, but the tell-all show was filmed in early October. Christine filed the papers mid-September, around the 12th or 13th. So at that point, Kody was still angry. He even filed a counterclaim against Christine. People were shocked, like, who does that? He wasn't trying to get custody because he wanted Truly. He just didn't want to lose. Truly turned 15 in April. Judges actually consider teens' opinions at this age. You're not going to uproot a child from high school and move them across states, and come on. Kody never really wanted custody in the first place. If he did, he would have manned up when he was still with Christine. But he didn't. He was too busy chasing Robin. And in my view, he abandoned Truly emotionally the day she was born. So this battle in court, it didn't feel like anything other than spite. And now Kody's mad that the internet talks about him this way. He thinks we've all got it wrong. But what he's really upset about is that people are seeing through him. We're undermining his image, the narrative he's tried to build about himself. But when he has a chance to actually do the right thing, forget it. He reverts to manipulation, dodging, or just blurting out what he believes will deflect responsibility. I don't think Christine and David ever really even planned on socializing with Kody and Robin. And Janelle demonstrated to us she doesn't even have a desire to be in the same room as them. Truly turned 15 in April. Judges actually consider teens' opinions at this age. You're not going to uproot a child from high school and move. She wasn't as crude why. She didn't say so much at all. But Christine did. Christine had no qualms about being straightforward. She freely talked about the ways Kody abused and manipulated the women, how he disrespected them, discarded them, and emotionally mistreated them. And then we get Janelle saying something outrageous, that during COVID, Kody told them getting involved with them was cutting their life short. Like being in polygamy was exhausting him physically. So Kody's excuse now? Yes, I did not want to date them. I pushed them away. I wasn't interested anymore. There. Is that enough account taking for you? Number because that is not real accountability. It is defensive. It's surface level. Janelle summed it up best. Kody and Robin will never be held accountable. Christine agrees. Don't anticipate Kody ever taking responsibility for what he has done. And I don't even think undermining is the correct term. I think Christine reflects back the truth, and narcissists despise that. She's holding up a mirror to him, and he can't stand it. That's why she's still his scapegoat, because she's the only one who will call him out. And for those who are saying she needs to get over it, I say no. This is healing. Saying out loud what you went through, grappling with what occurred aloud, living your truth, that's how you get your power back. Christine, Janelle, and even Mary, they went through hell, and they can certainly speak truth to what they went through. So what do you think? Was this why Kody was seething with anger during the tell-all? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the little bell icon so you don't miss an update. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, guys.